Hello and welcome to the Astro Forecast for the week of September 6th to September 12th. We start off this week with a beautiful new moon in Virgo on Monday, September 6th. Now, this new moon in Virgo has some really wonderful qualities to it, but also some challenging qualities. So whatever intention you set, so new moons are when the sun and the moon are together in the same degree, sign, and to the minute. And this new moon is taking place at 6 o'clock, 6:51 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so it's at 14 degrees of Virgo. Now, it's sort of right in the middle of the sign almost. And this Virgo new moon is bringing up our tendencies to want to control, to want to be perfectionist. That's very Virgo. When Virgo is in balance, it is humble service. It is humility. It is practicality. It is organization. You know, Virgos like to clean up the messes, right? We like to organize things. We like to have ideas and bring order from chaos. That is a very Virgo kind of sentence. So it's methodical, it's cleansing, it's clearing. It really is a wonderful sign for this time of year, especially like there's no surprise. This is back to school, back to schedules, back to order, coming back into our routines again, right? September is almost like a new year for many people around the world, and specifically more, I think, in the Western Hemisphere when school goes back in. So this new moon in Virgo on September 6th is going to be bringing you an opportunity to clear the clutter, clear the space. What do you want to keep and what do you want to throw away? And that has to do with all levels of your being. So it's not just your physical sense, it's also mentally. What do you want to throw away? You know what? When's the last time you cleared out your emails? Why are you holding on to those emails, right? Throw them all away, delete, get rid of them. Clear out your cache files, clear out your cookies, not, cookies on your computer, although you can clear out the cookies out of your kitchen if you want. But really, this is about what can you release out of your life now to make space for things that are coming in. So in this new moon, when Virgo, whatever intention you set now will come to fruition on March 18th, 2022. So whatever you're going to set your intention about, and I'm going to give you some clues as to where you can set your intention. Of course, it'll differ based on your sign, but I can give you some generalities. And whatever intention you set, write it on a post-it note or write it on your calendar, move ahead if you have an Outlook or Google Calendar, put it on there and say, my intention was set on September 6th for this. And then that's the full moon in Virgo on March 18th, 2022. So that will be a time that this will come to fruition in some way. Whatever seeds you plant now will grow into something beautiful at that time, whatever it may be. So just being aware of this. And as an astrologer, I love using cycles to help with personal development. It's actually my game. It's what I do. So when you start to use these cycles for manifestation, for growth, for understanding, you're going to know whatever was happening now in your life is going to come to new understanding in March 18th. So use the astrology to help yourself. Now, Virgo, this new moon, is about setting intentions for somewhere in your life that you want to get organized, that you want to clear the clutter. Virgo's in balance is, again, humble service. And so it's being organized, cleanliness, perfection, analysis, order from chaos. And so when it's turned up too loud, it's control freak tendencies. It is details, being nitpicky at details to the point where it holds you back versus making you achieve. One of my mentors says 70% complete, 70% perfect is perfect. 90 or 100% perfect is overdone, because really, who are you doing it for, right? It's not really important to anyone, and it holds you back and takes up space and energy and time, resources that you could be allocating to something else. So something to check in with yourself. Where are you critical of yourself? Where do you not let yourself play full out because you're scared of criticism, of what people will think of you, of judgment? So those will be a nice place for you to set an intention to help you release that energy. Now, at the time of this new moon, the sun and the moon are sitting together at the same degree of Virgo, and it's going to be trining, which is a 150-degree angle. It is so harmonious. It's so beautiful. It's a really lovely, wonderful relationship between these planets to Uranus. Now, Uranus is considered the great awakener. It is the god of chaos. It is the effervescent part of us. It's uniqueness. It's very outside the box thinking, if you think about it that way. Now, with this trine to Uranus, Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. And so Taurus is about the earth and about stability and banking and money and things that are of value, right? Taurus loves things of value. So to have these three planets really speaking together, right? The sun, which is our vitality, the moon, which is our emotions, our kind of the way that we connect on an emotional, intuitive level. It's also the relationships we have with females. It's our divine feminine, and Uranus is this great awakener. It's these like genius ideas, things coming to light. So when we see these things all working together, this is us able to really transcend something, right? This is energy that is beautiful that we get to, have at this time of this new moon. Whatever seeds you plant now is like this genius quality about it, that you can now be of humble service in a way that's grounding and long lasting. You can put something in motion where you're being of service, you're acting in your purpose and making it last, but also to do with the earth, also to do with money. So you can set intentions about all these things, about what do you want to be better with and how do you want to grow with them in your life. New technology is possible, clearing the clutter, clearing thoughts. Think of Uranus as like the wrecking ball. Like it comes in and it just takes everything out. It's like an avalanche, right? And so, creating stronger foundations in your life. We also might, incite us to want to be more adventurous or try new things as well. Because Uranus is like, it takes your security blanket and it throws it out the window because you don't need it. You're secure without the blanket, right? And learning that can take some time, but Uranus doesn't have time. It's sudden opportunities, expanded consciousness, sudden new developments can come about now as well. So this whole week is going to be a little bit of I would say, kind of be ready to be flexible and flow a little bit this week. As well, Mars is trining Pluto. So this is a real help with our motivation and our desires. Again, Mars is in Virgo. And so we've got sort of a lot of planets in Virgo right now during this moon. Well, not really a lot, just three. Mars, Sun, and the moon. Mars is our motivation, our desire. So we want to be of service. We want to do the right things. We want to be detailed. We want to make sure we're getting all the information, right? And then Pluto is about it's revolution, but it's not like the wrecking ball of Uranus. This is more like a tsunami. It takes time to grow. It's like a movement of people. So it's going to be clearing out space and helping you to really do the thing that you have not been wanting to do or maybe limiting or kind of resisting. This is going to help you with that. Also, to add wonderful energy to this new moon is Venus is trine to Jupiter. Now, Venus is in Libra and Jupiter is in Aquarius retrograde. Now, this is like, I feel like, Libra is balance, right? And it's also like the scales, if you think about it, the scales of justice. And Uranus is very much, Aquarius. Jupiter is in Aquarius retrograde. The Aquarius is about community and connection to each other. And are we doing the right thing? So these two things to me feel like luck, abundance, great relationships, coming together with other people for community to help one another. This is a new future vision, also visioning, which is very Aquarian. But I also feel like Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Jupiter can also be the law. And so I feel like this is like women's rights getting a bit of a boost from Jupiter. So if you've been following the news, which I'd love to do because I love to see the astrology and how it's playing out. And, there's a lot of, especially right now in the US, a lot of challenges to women's rights to rule their body. And, there's sort of challenges going up the scale now to the Supreme Court and to all these legal bodies now that are sort of having to review and see if these pass the precedents that's been set before it. So I feel like this is going to be a little helper to help with that, continuing to keep women's rights to the fore. And then there's also, though, a square to Venus with Pluto. And so this can also be power struggles, transformation, transforming inner power as well. So that's inner fortitude. So I feel like there'll be more and more people joining the movement to support women's rights as well. And not just, for Texas, but also in Afghanistan, what's happening with the Taliban and women's rights there. So I think we'll see, Malala Yousafzai come out a little bit more with that and supporting. I mean, she's got family that's there, so she's got to be careful. But I think we're going to see more about women's rights come up in and around the world at this time. And then the last aspect I want to talk about with this new moon, is a bit of a bummer. And it's Mars opposite Neptune. Now, every aspect has its good things and its harder things. So Mars is our motivation, our desire, and it's in Virgo, as I mentioned before, which is about being of service, being humble, being, doing the right thing. It's doing the thing when people aren't even looking. Like, that's the kind of thing with Virgo and Mars. It can also be very detail oriented and very much about don't miss the details, right? It's list building, it's, clearing clutter. It feels very motivated. Now, it's opposite to Neptune in Pisces. Now, I talked about this aspect last week. It's still an aspect this week. And it's coming in here to murky up the waters a bit. So Neptune is the fog. It can be deception. It can also be spirituality, one love, devotion. It's a really dichotomous planet, right? It has on one side of it, it's beautiful. It's connected to the divine. We're connecting to source energy. We want to be love because we are love. It's the finishing of cycles, right? It normally rules the 12th house. It's healing. And when it's opposite such a strong planet like Mars and Virgo, it can feel like we are just being either nitpicked to death or that we are being so hard on ourselves that we're disconnecting from our intuition, because when our ego speaks loud, it drowns out our intuition. And the intuition and the ego are actually friends, right? If we can use the two together, we can be harmonious and so successful within ourselves. So if you think about the ego, it's the part of us that keeps us safe, right? It is always that guard dog that's barking. And our intuition is our soul speaking to us. It's the language of the soul. And your soul is what energizes this body. It's what came here to expand and grow and experience. And so the ego's job is to keep that soul safe, right? It's quite beautiful. And so it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad guy at all. And so whenever it doesn't feel safe, it starts to bark and bark and bark. And what happens is you're not good enough. And who do you think you are? And people are going to think that you're this and that. All that judgment comes up from within. And if you have trauma from your childhood, even just trauma of somebody made fun of you, or you had a bully, or somebody said something to you one time that you then just altered the way that you were because of it, that then informs our guard dog. And our guard dog is always looking for evidence. And when it sees the evidence, it barks really loud because it's trying to alert our nervous. It is our nervous system. It alerts our nervous system, and we go into fight or flight. And then if it is such a big threat that you're not able to deal with it, then you go into shutdown, freeze, or fawn. Right? So you're immobilized, and it's not your fault, right? It's your body trying to protect you. But we often get mad at ourselves because we didn't want to act that way. So in this way, with this ego versus, our intuition, that's what this feels like to me. So when you start to see the loudness of the world saying you should do and we should be, and everyone is, doing all these things, the only person you have control over is you. So if you're one of those people that's telling everybody what's what, stop it. Stop it. It is up to you to do the right thing for you, right? And the micro affects the macro, right? So there is egoless service here this can be transcended by egoless service, right? Being in service to others. Virgo is the servant of the zodiac, right? If you see, it's the virgin that's wanting to be, of service to others. She's pouring water out. She's wanting to help people. And so where can you be of egoless service? What could you do to help people around you? Because I know we've been talking a lot about me, which is Leo season. And now Virgo season is like, wait, I'm here to be of service as well. So I know it's not easy to try to navigate that. Whatever feels good to you is going to be important, but there's going to be an element here of power struggles coming in, that square to Pluto. So where can we find forgiveness loss of so in a very positive way, this can be forgiveness, cleaning out your diet or cleaning out your cupboards. It can be, selfless service. And then in its negative, this can be loss of motivation for projects. You can feel very disillusioned with the world. You don't know what to believe, what's true and what's not. Practical action. So this imbalance is really practical action using your intuition. And what I love about an opposition is you can find the balance. Like, it's not going to be a tug of war forever. You can actually find the balance between the two. And the balance here, the opportunity that's coming in here with Virgo and Pisces, is can you be in service with acting from your intuition? Can you internalize that intuition and act and then use it out into the world? Ego and intuition, soul working together. That's harmony. So something to think about. Where can you be in more harmony in your life with your ego and your soul? Set the intention there. You will win, my friends. All right, Tuesday, September 7th. Mercury is entering shadow. So retro shade, sometimes as it's called. Mercury will go retrograde one more time this year, and it's going to go retrograde on the 27th of September. So in essence, retrograde means Mercury is going slower than the Earth. So mathematically, he's going slower than the Earth, which means he's traveling backwards. Not actually in the sky. Planets don't go backwards. But what you'll see is because he's slowing down and the Earth is still going at speed, it will look like Mercury is going backwards in the sky. And that's why we call it retrograde. Now, what happens is in the zodiac or in astrology, when it goes, now it's in retro shade. So what's going to happen is Mercury is going to retrograde back to this position when it goes retrograde on September 27th. So what that means to you in all of this is between now, September 7th, and September 27th, everything that you do, there will be a going over when Mercury goes retrograde on the 27th. So pay attention to what is happening in your life at this time. Now, Mercury rules our thought process, our communication, emails, writing, connections with others to our relationships, our coordination, any projects that we're working on, contracts, anything that has like words and paper associated with it is considered mercurial. And it's the way that we process information. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's almost like we have to go back over these things and we're going to redo it in some way. So let's say you're writing something now. Let's say you're writing a book and you start writing, or you're writing a short story. What Mercury is going to do is you're going to have to go back and rewrite it because the editor will find a lot of things wrong with it, or you'll lose it. That's happened a lot on Mercury retrograde. That's why Mercury retrograde is not nice to technology, because it's slowing you down. It's making you just take a breath. Mercury retrogrades are wonderful if you understand why it's coming in. It's helping us to take a breath and take a step back out of our lives to see what is kind of presenting us the opportunity to do. So let's say you're in a rush, which we kind of all have sort of maybe been. And what Mercury retrograde is going to allow you to do between the 27th and when it goes direct on the 18th of October is that you are going to be able to go back and redo all these degrees again and do it in a better way. It's going to make it better. So let's say this actually happened to me, my astrology teacher. She had written a whole, I think it was 2 or 3 chapters, and the computer erased it all. And she was so bummed that she had to go back and write it again, but she actually wrote it better and included better charts and all that kind of stuff that are now in her book that would not have happened had this not happened in this way. So there's an opportunity in everything. And if you can just stop to kind of go, what's this trying to teach me? You will glean the lessons of Mercury retrograde. So Mercury enters shadow in Libra this time. Libra is an air sign, and all of the Mercury retrogrades this year have been in air signs. So this is about intellect, ideas, our inspiration. It is kind of our creativity lives there. And because it's in Libra, it also rules relationships. So, we can become aware of, relationships or conversations we might be having, any projects or themes that are coming up now. Just notice those because you're going to have a chance to redo them in some way. So just kind of watch and notice what that is. If you're starting anything now at this time, notice how you have to might redo it again. This is also now we're entering a time that is not a good idea to sign any contracts. So definitely if you have any contracts or anything you have to sign before September 6th is a good idea. All right, on Wednesday, September 8th, we don't have any major aspects happening on that day, but what I noticed is some really good energy, is what I noticed there. The moon is going to be in the first phases of the moon, so that's gaining in light, so this is a great time to nurture your intentions, and it's in Libra again. So Libra is such a lovely relationships, balancing, harmony. We might be really wanting to nurture our relationships at this time. And then it's sitting next to the moon, is sitting next to Mercury. So this is again infusing our thoughts with loving, kind relationship, compromising energy. And the moon is also trining, again, super harmonious to Saturn. So this is helping us, with emotional strength, having the emotional fortitude to get something done. So this is a lovely, lovely day. Friday, September 10th, we have Venus moving into Scorpio. So this is kind of as it ingresses, we call it, moves into the sign of Scorpio. This is going to bring up sexiness. But it's not sexy time like Leo sexy time, like look at me in lingerie. This is like sexiness, let's get it on, connection. This is a water sign. So this water sign wants deep connection. This is body connection through the soul. Like that's the Venus in Scorpio is very passionate. It's very deep. It is very introspective. It also is a little secretive, right? If you know Scorpio, they don't like to tell you all their secrets, and they definitely don't wear their heart on their sleeve at all. Scorpio is a fixed water sign. So if you think about the water at the bottom of the ocean that doesn't move anywhere, it's kind of sitting there, kind of just checking things out from afar, that's Scorpionic energy. So deeply passionate relationships are going to be a very big thing. It's a water sign, so there's going to be a focus on relationships, body and soul connections, taboos. This is my favorite time. I'm a Scorpio rising, so I love talking about all the things taboo. There's nothing off limits when you talk to me, and even I think that's what happens in my readings and my sessions, is because there's nothing that nothing that'll faze me. I know I've heard about all the things. I've experienced a lot of things myself, and I have a lot of clients that have come from a lot of different backgrounds. I have zero judgment, zero, because I know all of our journeys are individual, and I love talking about trauma and things that are like juicy, because that's where the growth is. That's where the healing is. I like to be there. I don't like to be in the superficial. And that's Venus and Scorpio. No superficiality. This is deep connection. So if you've ever tried to have surface conversations with a Scorpio, you'll see smoke, because they're out of there so fast. They're not interested at all. So it can be a very emotional time because this is water. Fears of being too vulnerable, and it's all or nothing energy. So really, if there's something that requires you to be vulnerable for connection, this might block that a bit. So to be very aware of that, because Scorpios are very specific in who they connect to, and Venus is what we love and value, our relationships, beauty. We also might be drawn to some deeper, darker things. This is kind of, think about Scorpio season as Halloween, right? So that is just like the ghouls and the goblins and all those darker things, death and grief and trauma. Ooh, I love it. It's so juicy. On the same day, this Friday, September 10th, Mercury is in conjunct to Uranus, that is retrograde. So when an in conjunct is like a kink in the energy, it's not flowing, it's a paradox, a riddle. You need to figure out how to use the energies together. So they're not actually flowing well. Like there's a way to puzzle piece it together and make it work, but it takes real consciousness to do that. So Mercury is in Libra, which is, thinking our thoughts of balance and harmony and compromise, and Uranus in Taurus is bringing up chaos and evolution around things that are meaningful and valuable to us. So when we put this all together, it's mental stimulation. It's being fascinated by subjects and subject matters that are kind of a little bit more I say intellectual based with the Taurus there. Brilliant ideas. Hard to concentrate on one task because Uranus energy is a little bit over the place. So you might have a hard time concentrating with this energy. You may feel a little overwhelmed. There might be a lot of things to do, and you're trying to find the balance, Mercury in Libra, but there's so many things to do, Uranus in Taurus retrograde. So changes in plans might be, coming on, too much going on. And, it's interesting because Mercury's going to retrograde, right? So he will be back at this spot again on October 10th. So pay attention to what's going on with your mind at this time. Again, Mercury, right? And what's happening here, because it'll come back again retrograde and then go back direct. Actually, I think you might hit it again. Yeah, so he'll hit it retrograde and then he's going to hit it again one more time. So we'll see this aspect again. So I'll pay attention to this day, Friday's September 10th, because we'll come back to something that you're doing on this day or some sort of theme on October 10th. Okay. Saturday, October 11th, no real major aspects other than I just noticed it's kind of erratic energy on this day. Or you might feel like a little bit emotionally anxious or feeling like you're drained of energy. It's moon opposite Uranus. So we can just be feeling like it's a low energy day is what I'll say. So give yourself some grace on September 11th to just be at home. Interesting, September 11th is also the anniversary of 9/11 with the Twin Towers coming down because of a terrorist attack in the U.S. So this being sort of this erratic or low energy, especially with everything that's going on in Afghanistan, I think we're going to see a little uncertainty or unease coming out here in the U.S. because of this, especially this aspect is speaking to that. And maybe even around the world, because now the Taliban, and their sort of affiliates are in power, and they have all of the equipment and stuff from the U.S. and the allies that have left there. So there's going to be this interesting, we're just going to be watching, how this is all going to come together. And because of 9/11, the anniversary, it's just going to bring up a little bit more, I think, feelings around the world around that. And again, bringing your energy back to you, what you can control, and know that you are safe in this moment where you're at. Okay, because if you're watching this, it means you are safe because you're interested in astrology and what's happening for the week ahead. So you're not in that safety, part of your chakras. You're up here in self-actualization. And then Sunday, September 12th, again, no major aspects, but this is a good day. This is actually a really good day. The moon is going to move into Sagittarius, and it's sextiling to Mars and sextiling to Saturn. So this is like you're feeling responsible, you're feeling you have energy, and you're feeling kind of excited, and this is actually some playful energy as well. So we're ending off the week with some playful energy, starting off the week with a new moon that, it's got some intense themes to it for sure, but again, you can always use the energy to your highest and best to ride the flow of the universe, and how this is going to play out in your life will depend on your chart. So if you want to know more about that, you can definitely book an astrology session with me. I love doing them. They're just so heartwarming and so eye-opening for my clients because they didn't realize that these things are sort of the way life is timing them out and the gifts and talents that they were born with, but also the challenges that, of their childhood or the way that they were created, that they are now, those are talents too. We think that they're holdbacks, but they're not. They're talents too. You just have to learn how to work with them. So wishing you a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope you have the most amazing new moon, setting intentions that are going to really flourish in your life and bring you joy and accomplishment and success in whatever you do. Thanks for being here. Bye.